Strong words about corruption in Gauteng. Wrongdoers will be called to account and face jail time. That is the word from Gauteng Premier David Makhura, releasing his first State of Integrity and Anti-Corruption report today. Now, the Premier says hundreds of officials have been charged through disciplinary processes. Criminal cases have also been opened. eNCA's Govan Whittles attended the briefing, joins us now. So, Govan, I wonder if you could start by not only telling us about what the report says regarding the extent of corruption in Gauteng, but also what period we're dealing with, because we're all very mindful of what happened during the height of the pandemic and corruption allegations within the Gauteng Health Department.
Well, this report does look at those allegations in the Gauteng Health Department, and in fact, it has a table which sets out all the investigations which have been referred to the SIU or to the Auditor General of South Africa for further investigation, as well as the Ethics Institute, which has worked with the Gauteng government for a very long time. So in the period goes back to about 2018. And what we have here is a report which is not only the most comprehensive state of corruption in the province, but also looks at what kind of mechanisms are being used by organized crime to access government funds and what the Gauteng government is doing in response to that. One of the interesting answers from the Premier related to the open tender system. He described it as having been hacked with lightning speed, and he was referring to the Treasury's approval of emergency provision, emergency procurement during the COVID-19 pandemic, saying that's what organized crime used during that time, and saying that it can't be allowed to happen again. But of course, it also sets out some of the findings of the SIU report and the action that was taken by the Gauteng government, the axing of Bandile Masuku as the Gauteng Health MEC, and then a number of other interesting bits which relate to how well whistleblowers are protected in South Africa and what the law could be strengthened or how the law could be strengthened to improve that. And then, of course, there was an interesting recommendation from the Gauteng Ethics Advisory Committee or Council, which is the council responsible for this report. And they recommended that an integrity pact be instituted in the Gauteng procurement system, and believe that there's nothing in law that would prevent them from requiring businesses to sign up to this integrity pact to ensure that they not only hold certain values, but are willing to abide by certain rules and regulations to improve transparency in the financial transaction. But let's take a look now at what the Premier had to say about corruption in Gauteng and what it would mean once the, or what would happen once this report's recommendations and outcomes are implemented.
I want to emphasize that those who profit from corruption are not playing, colleagues. They are not playing. Fighting corruption is not a joke. Because what does corruption do? Firstly, it takes development money away from development. But it fits the lifestyles. The ill-gotten gains fit the avaricious and ostentatious lifestyles of people. So it's not a joke. So when you stop a corrupt project, the way it was gotten, you close the taps. You are tampering with people's avaricious lifestyles. And if you are interfering, that's why people will kill you. It's not something to, so we need to, this conversation is very serious. And it just needs that kind of serious. So I want to also say, fighting corruption must be part of a development plan. It shouldn't be the only thing we do. We must also be clear. What is our development plan? Social development, economic development, democratic consolidation, institutions it must be part of democratic consolidation, development effort.
Govan, what does this first State of Integrity and Anti-Corruption report in Gauteng do that is different from what the SIU probes are doing? Is it going to lead to different types of action within the Gauteng government, for example?
It definitely is, Sally. And the first thing that it's led to is lifestyle audits for all the MECs in Premier Gauteng, Premier David Makhura's cabinet. And he's confirmed that all of those lifestyle audits have already been completed. So he's expected to release the outcomes thereof soon, and he says it'll be a short while before he does. But he's also revealed that there are at least 84 supply chain managers in the Gauteng government, most of them in the Department of Health. He says that are refusing to undergo the vetting process to ensure that they are not profiting off corruption. And he wants all supply chain managers and senior managers to undergo this process. And what's interesting is that it's being done by the State Security Agency. So that means that it's external, and it also makes use of all the resources that the SSA has. And let's listen to the Premier again about what will happen next.
We have been insisting we must vet all supply chain management officials. So the picture, anyone who sits in tenders must be vetted. The picture, if you combine those who already have been cleared and those who have submitted themselves to the process are still waiting, compliance is 86%. But there is a certain number of officials who are refusing to subject themselves to vetting, in SCM for that matter. So what we want to do, the DPSA is, we're inviting you, the DPSA. When you start with lifestyle audits for civil servants in Gauteng, we want you to start with SCM and SMS members, especially the ones who have not been forthcoming for vetting. We want you to start with them. Because, you know, when you are reluctant to be vetted, you are communicating a message to us. There's something you are hiding. And you can't be, that's where, Dr. Nombembe, you are right. Our systems need to be so strong that we can fire officials. I want to fire an official who refuses to be vetted.
Yeah, so if you're sitting in supply chain management offices in Gauteng, why would you refuse to be vetted? If you have nothing to hide is perhaps the question. Certainly sounds like he means business, the Gauteng Premier. Thank you very much for that update. That's our reporter, Govan Whittles.